Hello and welcome back to the Reaching Your Full Potential Online Tech Summit, where top experts share their secret tips to stand out from the crowd and be uber successful using technology. Today, I'm honored to have Mahmood Mawjee. Mahmood Mawjee is a business mindset and speaker and coach. And I'll let him actually introduce a little bit more about himself. So, Mahmood, thank you again for joining. It's an honor.
Right, thank you so much for having me here. Such a pleasure. I've known you for quite a few years now, and your growth has just been absolutely phenomenal. You've been skyrocketing, so it's a massive privilege to be here with you. So yeah, my name's Mahmood. I was a dentist, and in 2016, my life completely changed. A couple of events happened in my life, some deaths, and I lost the business, and that kind of made me realize the fragility of life, how short life is. And I realized the most important thing we can do is that we're put here to make a difference. And the reason we're here is to help as many people, touch as many lives as possible. And no one's coming back, right? One life, that's it. So I made a decision in 2016 to take my life on a kind of totally different path. A path which in the voices in my head before were telling me not to do, because they said, Mahmood, you're only a dentist, you can't do this. But I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be able to help people. But I had a stutter, I couldn't speak myself. And I went through this journey to actually find myself. I remember there was a great quote by Buddha where he said that, to find yourself, lose yourself in the service of others. And I saw how I could help the people around me in business in the best way. Like, all of the listeners right now, everyone has a gift, right? And the journey of life is to tap into your gift, find your gift, and to use it to serve others. And I on this journey to find myself, and kind of that's where we're here right now. It's a long story, but the short of it is, yeah. And I left my clinics. I left dentistry some time ago. And now, full time, I'm a speaker coach, a business coach, and a mindset coach. And that's how we met.
Yes, right. Yeah, no, thank you. Definitely it was actually, we met, started working with you, and yeah, it's been really amazing. So thank you for that. Mahmood, the summit that we have right now is basically reaching your full potential online. And so tell me about your journey, specifically about your journey to success online, and kind of some of the struggles and the growth that you've had with it to go online.
Well, success is a different thing to everyone, right? So for me, I'm in the early part of my journey. But for me, I think the biggest thing is when you come out of your shell. When there's this great story about King Arthur, and everyone's probably heard me say before on social media. And what this story is where King Arthur sitting on this round table in England, right, in medieval times, and his knights are around him, and he says to his knights, go out there and find the Holy Grail. And they're like, what is the Holy Grail? He said, let's just go outside and find the Holy Grail. And they said, we don't know what the Holy Grail is. And King Arthur goes on to explain that each and every person has their own Holy Grail, something which is so important to you. And he says, go to the deepest part, the darkest parts of the forest, and that's where you find your Holy Grail. And what he meant by that is that the only way that you will grow, the only way you'll find the real you is when you unlock the darkest parts of your life. And for me, that story hit home really hard, because I realized that my darkest place was the place that I wasn't able to speak because I had a stutter. And the first thing I had to do was go on a journey to be able to fight that, to be able to get over that. Because, medicine even right now says that as long as you've had a stutter for 2 years, there's no way that you can get rid of it. But everyone's impossible is just their impossible, right? And I made a decision that I wasn't going to listen to their impossible anymore. That if you believe so much in something like right now, where you are in your business life, like there's that next level, and sometimes we think that's impossible. The only reason we feel that's impossible is because the people around us think it's impossible, and they tell us and we believe them. So I said, what if I actually said it's not impossible, but it's possible? And that's where my journey started. And so, each and every one of us, there's that next level is possible. But it means us uncovering the deepest parts of our life, the darkest parts of our life. And then that's how we grow.
Right. No, that's true. Definitely 100% for sure. Based on this as well, like if you kind of look at today's climate where everything is literally changed, we are in the days of the pandemic lockdown and everything. How have you kind of adjusted to that? And how do you adapt in such an environment?
So for me, most of my life for the last couple of years has been traveling, right? That's how we met when I came over there. And I'm normally on a plane once every 2 weeks. And for me, I love being around people. So I'm either at an event where I'm speaking, or I run my own events. And I've got this power speaker course where I develop individuals how to be extremely powerful speakers, how to sell, how to speak. And so my whole life was based around that. And when lockdown happened, I got about 6 trips canceled, and I lost over £250,000 worth of income over the next 6 months. And for me, it was like, oh my God, what do we do now? And I said, look, what do I say? And obviously there's that time when you hit rock bottom, and I thought, look, you can only stay in these parts for a very short period of time and you've got to pick yourself up. What if one of my clients came to me and said, look, Mahmood, what do I do? And my point would be, well, let's pivot. Like, let's find something else you can do. And there's this great story which I've heard about, about pivoting, and it's about this pizzeria in the US. And what happened is that when lockdown hit, they had nothing, because what they used to do is they just used to sell slices, right? That's all they used to do. So the people used to come in, they used to sell slices, and Uber Eats was down, so they couldn't obviously deliver. And at this kind of time, when we hit rock bottom, a lot of us think, how do I make money? How do I do this? How do I do that? They asked themselves a different question. They said, what resources do we have to be able to help the people around us? And when you ask yourself a question like that, no more is it about you, because we get stressed and anxious when life is about ourselves, when we think of ourselves. But they started thinking about, what can they do to help others using the resources they have? So how resourceful can they become? Right. So they started looking at what they have, and they said, look, we've got this big kitchen, pizza ovens. They said, look, what is so great about our pizza ovens? What pizza ovens do is pizza ovens have a much higher temperature. They can get to a much higher temperature than normal ovens. So they said, what can we do using that? So they started doing is they started bringing in industrial grade plastic, and they started molding that to make their own PPE. Then they used that to be able to sell to the hospitals around them, right?
Yeah.
And for them, it changed their business. For me, that was phenomenal, right? That is true entrepreneurship, right? And for me, I looked around me, I said, what can I do? And I said, who can I help? And I realized that right now, people are losing their jobs, they're losing income. Let me be able to help people start up their businesses, because that's what I do. But I used to do that through the avenue of speaking, right? That was my avenue. That was my vehicle. My vehicle was speaking. The outcome was, more money, bigger business, better relationships. That was my outcome. But the vehicle was, let me get you to be an amazing, flipping, brilliant communicator, right? But then that avenue closed up because people don't want to be speakers anymore, because where do you speak, right? So I said, fine, you need webinars. What if I can get you speaking on here? What if I can help you grow your businesses? What if I can really show you how to pivot and not just have an idea, but go from idea to actual implementation to actually money on the table within a few weeks? What if I could do that whole journey for you? So then I developed an online course. How long did it take to develop? A day, right? And that was it. I developed it because it was in my mind, just never had a chance to put it on paper. I did it. I called up everyone I knew, Facebook, Instagram, social media. And then I started my courses online, and that changed everything. And what it means now is that, every day, I'm 5, 6, 7 hours on Zoom. It's not great because this ain't the place I like to be. But this lockdown, I can't fly at the moment. Very soon I'll be able to, and then life gets back to there. But what it means is I've got an online platform now, which will always be there, where people can buy into my courses, where I can coach them, something I've never had before. So lockdown for me has been the biggest gift I've ever had, because I found a way. And we're always told, right, things happen for a reason, but that's not true. They only happen for a reason if you find the right reason why they happened, right? So we have the choice that you can, what reason, what meaning are you giving something? So you can give something, from a death, right? When my father died, that's my whole journey, right? A bad meaning I could have given it, that I lost, the role model in my life, and, I could have got depressed. But I chose to find a bigger meaning in that, my dad had a life of no regrets. And for me, what if I could have that kind of life? And that spurred me on to do this. So for all our listeners out there right now, that, give everything a right meaning, give the right focus, and this time can be the best time for you to grow.
That's true. No, definitely very, very valid points for sure. And that's definitely something that we can all take upon. You mentioned something right now about idea. So how do you know when you have the right idea, especially those who are kind of listening, what to do next?
You don't. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, how do you find that killer business idea, right? Well, where do you find it from? The point is, you'll never find it. It's like when you go to a restaurant, right? How do you know the best food on the menu? What do? You order something, and if you like it, you try it again. But if not, then you try something else. And that's the way that life and business works. So you may have an idea right now, but the only way that you develop that killer, that this is it, is when you've tried enough things, and some things you push aside, and some things you say, I'm going to go further. Some people say, how do I find my passion? I don't have a passion for anything. Well, you're not born with it, right? Passion doesn't come just like that. Passion comes through trying a lot of different things. And on one of them, you'll say, wow, do you know, I like this. You'll try that even more. And then you say, do you know, I want to be flipping world class at this. And when you hit that point, that's where you find your passion. But most people are looking for passion at door number 1, when passion is actually door number 10. But the only way to get to door number 10 is to go through door 2, door 3, door 4. So how do you know if you've got the right idea? You don't, but you try it. And you try it, and then you ask yourself the question, do I like it, number 1? And if you like it, keep on going. If you don't like it, then stop and go to number 2. But I think many of us want to hit jackpot at number 1, and that's why it never works.
Right. No, it's true. So, you mentioned about idea and you don't know when the right idea comes. And so you try something and you reach probably adversity and doubt. So how do you handle that?
Well, you ask yourself, great question, right? You ask yourself a simple question that, like, if like mostly people do something for some time and then they give up. Ask yourself why you're giving up. If you're giving up because you actually don't see a future in this, then that's fine, give up, right? Fair enough. But if you're giving up because it's too much hard work, because you don't have the grit, then that's a problem, right? So my point is that keep going, keep going, keep going. Inside you, right? If you know it's growing you, if you know it's serving people, if you know there's a market out there for it, then don't give up. But if you see, maybe, I don't know, maybe you like making paper airplanes, right? I don't know. And maybe you start making some and you start an online thing and Instagram and Facebook and then you start developing more, but you realize there's just not much money in that. I'm sure there is, right? And if you just don't see a future in it, then stop. But if you know that there's other people out there doing what you're doing, and the only reason you're not there is because now it requires maybe 3 hours of sleep a night, maybe investment, maybe you need to get a mentor or a coach, things like that, and then you give up, then that's the wrong reason to give up.
Right. Makes sense. It's true. You mentioned your journey started and kind of where you are right now. If you were to look back, what are some of the mistakes you wish you could have avoided?
I would have got myself a mentor and a coach earlier on. Okay. I wanted to try and do everything myself. I thought that, it's nice to say I've done it myself, but I realized early on that, by having someone who can, because you can't see your own blind spots, you don't know what you don't know. Right. And so for me, I did this quite early on anyway, right? But I could have done it a bit earlier.
Right.
But I could have found a mentor and a coach to be able to help me on that journey a lot earlier. I struggled for years in my dental practice, knowing I wanted to get out. I was very good at what I did, right? I had really good clientele. I used to do a lot of surgery, there were my own clinics, but I wanted to get out earlier. But maybe I could have found someone, and I've never thought about it. So maybe I could have found someone who's already done what I wanted to do, not where I wanted to be, because I didn't know where I wanted to be, right? Because that's an evolving journey. But just the first step, and the first step would be to get out of dentistry. Maybe I could have found someone who actually did that and asked them to coach and mentor me.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we all want to do things on our own, but we waste years and years and years, right?
Right.
And like, if we look at the example of, Colonel Saunders, KFC, we all know that, right? There's a big story on YouTube that, you can make your million at 70, look at him. The thing is, right, he found his secret sauce at 40 something. If he'd learned how to market, if he had a mentor and a coach at 40, maybe he could have been a billionaire, a triple billionaire, right? By the time he died. And what's that money for? That money could have helped lots of other people in life. And so for me, that's what it is. It's about time. It's about be able to do things quickly. Why wait 10 years when you can do it in 1 year?
Right. Being a coach, being a speaker, being a mindset coach, how do you address a question such as this, where can one be a good leader, especially in your own business, in your own, whatever you're doing right now? How do you become a good leader, or how can you be a good leader?
Okay, so that's a great question again. And one of the, leadership is phenomenal. And there's two things that people want in life. Number one is they want guidance and they want leadership, right? And that's what a leader needs to be able to do. But so there has to be certain things, right? So you need to build yourself up as well. So you need to be able to live that life of a leader. And when you see what do people need, people not just want to be led, but people want to see someone who they can be like. So you need to develop yourself around being that person. And I said, every leader, you need to have 4 very, very, very important mindset traits. Okay, there's 13 mindset traits I talk about, but there's 4 very important ones. And number one, every leader needs to know that this world is a good place. Because if you don't believe this world is a good place, you're not going to try. Number 2, every leader needs to know that life happens for you, not to you. That no matter what happens, you can find a better meaning in whatever happens to you. And number 3, that every single skill, every single trait you have, you're not born with it, but it's malleable, that you can develop it over time. And number 4, that every leader needs to know that there's going to be dark times, right, where people maybe don't listen to them, where things are tough. But all the work that you put in on the dark times are going to be, you're going to be paid for, you'll be paid back for them later on.
Right.
And, we're all leading, like we're leading ourselves, right? We're leading our families, we're leading people at work. Everyone is a leader. And the biggest thing that people want in a leader is guidance, right? They want to see someone who they can look up to. But yeah, I do believe that anyone can be a leader if they want to be a leader.
It's good. That's definitely a good tip for sure. So we're kind of reaching near the end here. So what's one tip that you can share with us today that we can have success or
Just one.
implement that? Just one,
Just
or
one.
more if you have.
One tip. Probably the most important tip I can give you is that in order to grow, and if you're listening to this right now, you're someone who wants to grow, right? You're someone who has massive ambition, someone who really wants to reach those heights. Go and do the things you find the hardest to do, right? And that's how you should live your life. You should live your life on the edge of well outside your comfort zone every single day. You should be scared. You should be fearful every day of the life you're living. And what I mean by that is fear is a good thing, right? When you can put it in the right context. And what I mean by that is go and look at the things that you're fearful of doing the most. And they're the things which you need to do the most. So for me, it was speaking. It was be able to speak to people, speak to crowds. I realized that is my biggest growth point. When I could do that, I'll fly. Right? So we've all got kind of a lid on us. And if we can break that one lid, we'll fly. And it's normally one thing holding us back. And the thing holding us back is the thing we're scared of doing the most. So you need to go to your darkest place in the forest to find your holy grail. And you go and unlock that and everything changes, right? Mm-hmm. Second tip, okay, just another one. Find a coach and a mentor, really. Okay, don't go on this journey alone. Find someone who can see your blind spots. Find someone who's already kind of got to, they don't have to be doing the same thing you're doing, but they just have to be ahead of you. Right? Because we will sometimes go and take advice from people who haven't done what we have. And then we ask, why don't they give us good advice or whatever, right? Go and find someone who's done or is on that journey of where you want to go and ask them to coach and mentor you. That's it.
Right. No, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And,
one other thing, if I can just say, on that note, what I want to do to our listeners is I'm going to send you a link after, and I've got an audio program out there. Okay. Don't buy it, listeners. Let me give it to you as a gift, right? It's 5 hours and it's how to create your ultimate life. And so much in there. Please listen to that. Okay. Please listen, spend a lot of time going through it. And I promise you it'll change your life. And please send me some feedback. Okay. Once you've listened to it, but Shahid, I'll give you the details and you can pass it on to listeners. That would be great.
No, thank you for that offer. And, based on the second tip that you gave there, I do want to resonate from that and actually, that share with everybody's listening as well. Mahmood is someone that I've actually have as a coach and someone that I've looked up to and definitely has changed my life. So thanks, Mahmood, for that. It has really opened.
If I can butt in, you would have never, ever, the amount of growth you've had is absolutely phenomenal, right? And if you wouldn't have, your shell, you broke it and you were flipping like Superman, right? You've gone out there and you've said, I'm the kind of guy who not just wants to grow me, not grow my family, but I want to grow the people around me. And, to be around you is an honor, really, because just to see your growth and everything which you do, and you go and do it and you don't hold back and you look at your biggest fear points and you're like someone like, if that's what I'm scared of, that's what I must do. And that's why you've grown so much in the last couple of years. So well done.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Is there anything you want to add to this interview?
No, it's just everyone, right? You've all got a gift. And if you're thinking right now that I'm not where I am, then go out there and do it. No one's going to come and no one's going to give it to you. No one's going to come and save your life. No one's going to come and hand you a check. But you can have anything you really want in life. And I really do believe that. But it means you're getting out of your comfort zone and it means you're going and doing the things you're scared of. And it means you're just believing it's possible. Surround yourself with the right type of people, discover a growth mindset. Get a coach, get a mentor, whatever. Just go out there and do it, right? One life. I always say no one's coming back, right? If you come back, you're going to be a tree. What you're going to do is a tree, right? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you again. And it was an honor. Thanks again. We'll touch base soon. Thanks.
Thank you very much.